Hello. Well, here we are again. Today it's Thursday, it's 3 o'clock. That must mean it's Live with Kat here on my Facebook page, or if you're watching over on YouTube, thank you very much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure to come and have a natter for a little while, just live here. So it's a bit of a special day for me today, being British and all of that. Even though I live in France, it feels like it's one of those days where I feel really proud to be British. I want to put like my best British accent on and just really celebrate being English, being British, being embedded in all of the history that I was born into, as today is the start of the Platinum Jubilee of the Queen, which is 70 years on the throne. And I don't want to spend the whole time talking about that, but it's what's prompted me today to talk about celebrating. Because how many of us actually celebrate ourselves? Hands up now. How often do you actually celebrate yourself? How often do you actually say, yeah, I'm really chuffed with myself? How often do we give ourselves that opportunity to praise ourselves and celebrate the moments in our own life? You know, it's very easy when we have a big celebration like there is in the UK today. Platinum Jubilee, never happened before, woohoo! You know, street parties and very Englishness and, you know, pomp and ceremony and soldiers and marching troops and all of that stuff. It's really easy when we've got a excuse or a reason or a focus to celebrate. But how often do we actually celebrate ourselves? Tell me how often you let yourself really say to yourself, well done. I'm really proud of myself. I'm really proud of what I've achieved, what I've done, what I've succeeded in. You know, and one of the things that, you know, the crew and the channeling that I does really brings home to me is this knowing that being a human means that we are embedded, we are embodied in an experience of contrast. We're embodied, like we're made real in this world where we are deeply witnessing contrast all of the time. And so for us humans, that means that, you know, that contrast, we often embody that and make that real as judgment. You know, we're constantly recognizing, like, is this me or is this not me, or what's this compared to me? You know, we everything we look at and everything we recognize in this world, we are judging the contrast of ourselves against it. And as we've said previously, you know, in some of these chats, we've got this contrast of what we are witnessing ourselves being witnessed by other people as well. It's like all of this weird humanness of contrast, and just letting ourselves celebrate ourselves means that we have to change our focus. We have to completely change our focus of where we're looking. And this day today is really easy to celebrate an external celebration, you know, outside of ourselves. It's really easy, you know, you say this all the time, you know, it's really easy to celebrate other people. It's really easy for me to see the achievements and the successes and the love and the amazingness in my friends and in my family. It's really, really easy to do that. But how many times do we actually celebrate ourselves? And, you know, thank you if you're managing to watch this live. I really, truly appreciate it. If not, and you're coming in on replay, just ask yourself right now, when was the last time you actually let yourself celebrate you? And it doesn't have to be a big thing. You know, we have these moments where it's, hey, it's my birthday, I can celebrate. A few years ago, I was going through a really tricky time with my health. And I actually came across Caroline Myss and her work. And one of the books that she wrote that came across me, isn't it amazing when books find their way to you when you need them? One of the books had this phrase in it, which was, "This day will never come again." And something about that phrase really hit home with me. And I really took that to heart, and I really used that as a deep spiritual practice for a really long time. Like, I would say that the entire year of my healing and my working through, coming back into myself and doing all the work on myself, this mantra of "this day will never come again" was truly profound to find its way to me. And it actually meant that I was witnessing every single day as a human with that contrast. But I was witnessing it as a human with that contrast, but also with the ability to stand back from it and see every single thing that was going on in my day, in my life, in the experience, whether I judged it bad or good, through these eyes of, this will never happen again. This moment, this second, this breath will never happen again. Me being me in this moment will never ever happen again. And something miraculous happens when you can start witnessing the world like that. It means that this humanness of judgment and contrast gets easier, because we can see our experience of being a human within it. We can see our experience of, I am a human being here right now, celebrating this moment, celebrating this breath, no matter what's going on, no matter whether somebody's swearing at me in the car park, or, I've just made a massive achievement in my work, or I've had the most amazing client session, or, I've just played with my dog and I've got this huge grin on my face. We can witness every experience of our life with so much joy, whether we're judging it as good or bad or higher or lower or shadow or light or whatever phraseology we want to put on to all of this fuckery of humanness. We can see it through this eyes of, this moment is never ever going to happen again. And that preciousness of that celebration of that singular breath is fundamentally life-changing. And I know at the time I actually started putting out posters on my Facebook page. I mean, I think it was probably about 5 years, maybe 6 years ago. And every single day I was putting out a message with a little hashtag at the bottom, like, "This day will never come again." Because it's not even this day, it's like this breath, this second, me in this second, witnessing me as human, as having this joyful experience of life, will never come again. And so how does that then change how we start celebrating? It makes celebrating really, really easy. It makes celebrating every single piece of granule of energy, of yumminess of life, really, really easy. Because every second is precious. And we go through life and quite often we don't recognize that preciousness of life until we're reminded of an expiry date of this life, and the one of the channels that I did in Reality Poke in my podcast, I'll put the link underneath so you can listen to that if you want, was a pondering around death, a pondering around endings, and then a channeling that came through all about what endings actually mean and how we can live a much more joyful life when we recognize that the moment we're born, we're actually creating our own death, and how we put all of those pieces together. The channel then comes through of how we can totally change our perspective on what life is and be joyful in every single breath of experience once we've practiced being human and seeing the intricate magic in every single second of every single minute of every single day of being this spiritual energy, having this spiritual experience through me as Kat in this second that will never come again. That experience will never happen in the same way again. You know, and we can go into work and get really bored and like, oh, life's really boring because it seems really repetitive. But every single day, every single conversation, every single interaction we have is a one-off. It's unique. So how can we start to play with it a bit more? How can we start to celebrate it a bit more? How can we start to stand back from it and go, wow, this is it. No matter what's happening in my life, this is it. This is a moment of magic. This is life. You know, and one of the very first fundamental teachings that ever came through me when I started channeling the words of the crew was, the meaning of life is life. That's it. The meaning of life, the experience of life is the experiencing of it, and we have these whole convoluted ideas of I've got to be this and I've got to be that and I've got to do this and I've got to conform to this and I've got to be in that box and I've got to square my edges and I've got to, don't colour outside of the lines. Fuck that. Fuck it. No, life is for living. This experience of life will never come again. This is it. This is it. So when we're talking about celebrating, like I say, how many times do you actually allow yourself to celebrate the experience of you? How much judgment are you putting on your day when you get to the end of the day and you I haven't done that again, and it's really boring today, or such a hard time at work. All of those experiences meant that you were embodied and embedded in that human experience in that moment. So how can we start living better, more joyful, more yummy, more yumminess of life when we start seeing the celebration of every single second? And I've started talking about this today because of the Platinum Jubilee, the 70-year celebration of the Queen in the UK. And I'm very, very proud to be British, and I see all these experiences. And I've actually been really quite emotional today watching it on the news, watching it unfold and the trooping of the colour and, the Queen coming out at 90, I think she's 95 now, and she got onto the throne as a woman at the age of 25. In a time where women were not seen as capable, we're just looking at how life has unfolded. We're not having a monarchy conversation. We're having like an evolution of femaleness conversation here. That she took on a role in a completely different time. She took on a role that she's done for 70 years. And every single moment of that, whether right or wrong, or we can judge it from outside, in whatever way we want, there has been a fundamental bringing togetherness of having this female monarch there that has been an inspiration, that has shown that women can actually stand up, that can actually have a presence in the world. And it's incredible when we witness that. But witnessing it through the celebration of this moment in my existence will never come again, has got me really quite emotional, because it won't ever happen again. It won't ever happen in especially in my lifetime, you know. But how all of the things that would need to come together to make that happen again, I don't know if that will ever exist. And we can see it on a massive scale, you know, that there's a queen and she was 25, and then there was a war, and like female progression, and all of these pieces that we can look back at and have like judgment about, and witnessing it and the contrast of it and the story of it. So it's really easy to pick this out, but the same thing exists in each one of our lives. Every single one of our lives, every single piece of that giant celebration, we can look at in our own lives, and we can go, all of these pieces that came together to make this second happen will never happen again. In this way, I will never be the same person. The person I've interacted with will never be the same person. You know, the circumstances will be different. We will be people of a different evolutionary state if we ever come back together again. And, you know, the timing and the precision and the moment of itself is simply a moment of magic in every single breath for each one of us. So yeah, we can look at these big global celebrations, and it's really easy to witness, but we can come into it in our own life as well, every single day, in our own existence, our own reality, and go, wow, this is magic. This will never ever happen again. This moment will never ever happen again. The circumstances that brought all of this together will never ever happen again in the same example, in the same construction, in the same way. And that means that we can celebrate every single day, not just that breath, but we can witness our experience of life in the living of that life every single day. So instead of going to bed being mad at ourselves that we didn't do something, we can actually just go to bed and recognize the magic, recognize everything that I have achieved today, recognize every single piece of experience of life that I witnessed, that I lived through, that I embodied, that I brought through into reality today. And so tomorrow when we wake up, we can be a completely different person, and we can choose to be a different person in every interaction that we do the next day, based on the witnessing of who I was in that moment yesterday that I'll never experience that again. So I may as well be brand new in this one today. Woohoo! So as humans, we find it so easy to criticize ourselves. We find it so easy to judge ourselves. We find it so easy because we are human, and therefore we are embodied in an existence of contrast. And we've been trained by all the fuckery of life to judge ourselves. But let's just back out of that. Let's just decide today to not witness life like that anymore. Let's just decide, like right now, I don't want to witness my life like that anymore. I want to witness my life through the eyes of celebration. I want to witness my eyes through this knowing that the meaning of life is life. And that every single second of every single moment, in every single interaction, in every single piece of my existence is something to celebrate, because it's unique and it's magic in that moment. So anyway, I know that I'm going to be watching more of the Jubilee over the next few days, and I'm going to be having this like huge collective response to what's going on. But I'm also going to be deeply witnessing myself in it. You know, I was only saying to somebody earlier on, 20 years ago, for the Golden Jubilee, I was actually living in London, and I went up to Hyde Park and I saw the big carriages and had the experience of literally being there on the streets. So I'm now feeling and witnessing the magic of that in memory. But I'm also able to find that same magic when I look back on the simple things. I don't have to be having that memory of, yeah, there was that day where I was outside Westminster Abbey and the golden carriage went by and I was surrounded by these thousands of people. I don't need all of that to have this remembering of the magic of the experience of life. Because I've made it my spiritual practice. I've made it my practice to really experience and experiment with, this knowing of this day, this moment, this breath will never come again. So I'm going to challenge you there to see how you can use that in your days over this next week till we chat again. If you're watching on replay, just pop me some comments in and let me know how you're feeling this week, having that challenge put to you. Come back and tell me how your week's been with that challenge of, can we live with that? Can we choose that? How has your life changed? How have you witnessed the world? How have you experienced the world differently when you've been poked into that challenge? And let me know if there's something that you'd like to have one of these chat with cats pondering, and also I'm just putting together a plan for a new series of the Reality Poker podcast. So that is my podcast. If you haven't heard it yet, the archives of that are still up. I'll put you a link to that too, so you can go back and listen to that. And I co-host it with the crew, with my channel collective. So I bring an idea, I bring a pondering, and then I put it to the crew and they bring a higher level perspective to it, channeling that through in the podcast. Yep, it's that weird. And then I bring it all back at the end and then we just talk about it a little bit more. So if there's a big question, we are in big times now. So if you have a big question that you would like me to put to the crew in one of the reality pokes, or even to bring to one of these live chat with cats, just let me know. Click message, PM me. I'd love to have a chat with you anyway. So you can find out all about my work if you want to know more about me over on my website, which is uninvented.life. If you'd like to have a one-to-one session with me, all of the details are over there, how you can do that. But like I say, I'm here. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I'm on everywhere. So you can just pop me a message and say hello. And let's keep these conversations going. And I really want to challenge you this week, before we speak again, to celebrate you. Celebrate life. Celebrate your existence. Celebrate every single breath, because it really will never come again. So thanks ever so much if you've been watching live. I really appreciate you coming on live. And if not, if you're watching on replay, hashtag me replay, send me some comments, and I'll see you again next week. Live chat with Kat. I have no idea what it's going to be about yet. Inspiration will strike by the time I come back again. So huge, huge, huge love to you this week, as always, and bye for now.